Good evening, dear students. Welcome you all on One Mark Solutions YouTube channel. Uh, आप सभी का स्वागत है हमारे इस चैनल में आज के वेबिनार में। और आपको पता है कि लगातार जो डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स हैं उन सब्जेक्ट्स पर 1 मार्क क्वेश्चंस जो आपके एग्जाम्स में पूछे जाते हैं उस पर इस चैनल पर वेबिनार्स कंडक्ट कराए जा रहे हैं। एंड यू ऑल्सो नो दैट नाउ सीबीएसई जो है वो भी बहुत इम्फेसिस कर रही है कि लगातार जो क्वेश्चंस हैं उनमें जो 1 मार्क के जो क्वेश्चंस आपके आते हैं, जो ओटीक्यू जिनको बोलते हैं, जो ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, उनके जो नंबर हैं क्वेश्चन पेपर में वो भी लगातार बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। सो ये जरूरी हो जाता है कि हर चैप्टर का, हर सब्जेक्ट का कम से कम 1 मार्क के जो क्वेश्चंस हैं, जो ऐसे जो क्वेश्चंस हैं जिनको कि सीबीएसई एग्जाम्स में पूछ सकता है, जिनको आपके लिए जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है इन फ्यूचर, जो डिफरेंट कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स आप देंगे उसके लिए जो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, उन क्वेश्चंस की एक श्रृंखला, उन क्वेश्चन को लेकर के यहाँ पर डिस्कशन करने के लिए लगातार डे वाइज डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स के हम एक्सपर्ट्स को अपने साथ यहाँ पर लेते हैं। और हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स जो है वो सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट्स जो होते हैं वो बच्चों के साथ बात करते हैं कि किस तरह से कौन से चैप्टर से किस सब्जेक्ट के किस किस तरीके के 1 मार्क के क्वेश्चंस बनाए जा सकते हैं, और कौन कौन से क्वेश्चंस ऐसे हैं जिनका जानना, जिनको प्रैक्टिस करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, उनके क्या ऑप्शन सही होंगे। क्योंकि जब मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चंस की बात आती है या फिल इन द ब्लैंक क्वेश्चंस की बात आती है तो कहीं ना कहीं बच्चों में कंफ्यूजन होता है कि ये सही या ये सही, तो उसको कैसे पहचाना जाए कि कौन सा क्वेश्चन का आंसर कौन सा सही होगा। इन सभी बातों के लिए हमारे साथ हर सब्जेक्ट के एक्सपर्ट यहाँ मौजूद होते हैं। मैं आज हमारा जो वेबिनार है ये क्लास 10th चैप्टर 1 साइंस का है, और चैप्टर 1 साइंस को डिस्कस करने के लिए हमारे साथ आज स्टूडियो में हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं कैम गुरु मैडम मनीषा जी। मनीषा जी, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं हमारी स्टूडियो में। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। बच्चों, डेफिनेटली मैडम की अगर मैं बात करूं तो मैम मेटाडाई स्कूल दिल्ली से हैं, और ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि इन्होंने पीजीटी केमिस्ट्री होने के बावजूद भी क्लास 10th के बच्चों के साथ डिस्कशन करना ज़्यादा अच्छा समझा। सो मैम को बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि उन्होंने क्लास 10th के बच्चों का भी ख्याल रखा और क्लास 10th के बच्चों के लिए वो चैप्टर 1 डिस्कस करने के लिए हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में उपस्थित हैं। मैडम को बहुत लंबा अनुभव है, 10 से ज़्यादा वर्षों का समय मैडम केमिस्ट्री के टीचिंग में जो है वो गुजार चुकी हैं। बच्चों के साथ बहुत अच्छे रिलेशन हैं। डेफिनेटली जो टीचर अपना 11th 12th छोड़ करके 10th पर अगर आकर के क्लास लेने के लिए तैयार है तो डेफिनेटली बच्चों के साथ बहुत लगाव होगा मैम का। निश्चित रूप से हमारा जो आज का जो सेशन है ये बहुत 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 वंडरफुल होने जा रहा है। मैं अपने सभी जो हमारे जो बच्चे हैं, व्यूअर्स हैं, जो उन बच्चों को कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन दे दूं। इन्फॉर्मेशन ये है कि एट द लास्ट ऑफ द सेशन प्लीज स्टे विद अस। सो आपको एक फीडबैक लिंक शेयर किया जाएगा जिसमें 10 क्वेश्चंस होंगे, आज की जो डिस्कशंस होंगे उन्हीं से, और उन 10 क्वेश्चंस में से अगर आप 4 क्वेश्चन सही कर ले जाते हैं, ओनली 40%, देन यू विल गेट अ प्रिंटेबल सर्टिफिकेट। आपको एक प्रिंटेबल सर्टिफिकेट मिलेगा। सो आप हमारे साथ जरूर जुड़े रहें। उसी फीडबैक लिंक में एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप का लिंक भी होगा जिसको आप जरूर ज्वाइन करें, सो दैट अपकमिंग जो भी वेबिनार्स हमारे होंगे क्लास 10th से रिलेटेड, उन वेबिनार्स की जानकारी भी आपको हम थ्रू व्हाट्सएप आपको देते रहें। वैसे हमारे चैनल पर भी जैसे ही शेड्यूल होता है इसकी सूचना आ जाती है, तो आप हमारे चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब कर लें। अगर आप चैनल सब्सक्राइब करते हैं तो डेफिनेटली जो भी वेबिनार शेड्यूल किए जाएंगे उनकी सूचना भी आप तक तुरंत पहुंच जाया करेगी। तो आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है कि हमारे चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब करें। और अब मैं ज़्यादा समय न लेता हुआ मैडम को अनुरोध करता हूँ, रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ मैम से कि मैम प्लीज़ आप बच्चों के साथ जुड़ें। मैम प्लीज़।
Thank you, Dr. Asad, for such a warm welcome. And I welcome all my young students who are ready to learn some chemistry concepts, and some magic is going to happen. So I hope everyone is excited. Please keep answering the questions because I have got few very, very interesting questions for all of you. So I'm sure आप सब उसका बहुत बहुत excitement के साथ answer करेंगे. So thank you so much, Asad sir, for that welcome. I will quickly share my screen, and sir, please let me know if my screen is not visible. I'm sure my screen is visible. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. So ready, children? Yeah. we move to the first question, which is a multiple choice question. The question is, which of the following is not a physical change? So you all understand that reactions, chemical reactions, equations is all about some kind of change, some kind of physical change, some kind of chemical change. So you have to answer that which of the following is not a physical change. Boiling of water, melting of ice, dissolution of salt, or combustion of liquefied petroleum gas, that is LPG. So if you actually look at the answers or the options, boiling is really a physical change. Melting is also a physical change. Dissolution is a physical change. But combustion, if you get from your previous understanding, is a reaction with oxygen, which is not really a physical change, but a chemical change. So we move to the answer as answer D. I'm sure many of you have got the correct answer. I move to my second question. Which one of the following processes involve chemical reactions? So I am listing some processes in front of you. Storing of oxygen gas under pressure in a gas cylinder, liquefaction of air, keeping petrol in a china dish in the open, or heating copper wire in the presence of air at high temperature. So if you see, all of them have got some kind of change. But इसमें से chemical reaction किस में होगी? It should be answer D, because copper wire is being heated, right? Let us move to the next question. Which kind of information is not conveyed by a chemical equation? So when you see a chemical equation, it definitely conveys some kind of information to you. What information is not conveyed by a chemical equation? Does a chemical reaction tell you about the physical states? Or it tells you about the symbols and formulae? Or it tells you about number of atoms? Or it tells you whether a particular reaction is actually possible or not? थोड़ा सा दिमाग लगाएंगे तो आंसर आ जाएगा. And I am sure many of you must have answered it as D. Yes, you don't get to know whether a reaction will actually occur or not, whether a reaction is possible or not through a chemical equation. You get all other details, but not this one. The next question is thoda sa twisted. Let us see who answers this question first on the chat box. Which of the following is not a balanced equation? So you have to see which one is not a balanced equation. Second reaction in front of you, third and fourth. Quickly, you can answer it in the chat box and let me know what is the correct answer. And yes, the correct answer is A, because Fe plus Cl2 gives me FeCl3, but it is not balanced. How can I balance it? It will be twice Fe plus 3Cl2, which will give me 2 FeCl3. So it's not a balanced equation. So we have another question. When lead sulfide, PbS, reacts with ozone, O3, to form lead sulfate, which is PbSO4, and oxygen. So if you balance this equation, I will give you time to balance. So if you balance this equation, number of molecules of ozone, that is O3, how many number of molecules of ozone are required for every lead sulfide molecule? Quickly pen it down and tell me what is the correct answer. PbS plus O3 giving PbSO4 plus O2. So I've given you a skeleton equation as well. Will you need 4 molecules of ozone, 3, 2, or 1? What should be the correct answer? And the correct answer will be A. So you will need 4 molecules. So if you actually write 4O3, we get the answer there because the equation will be balanced. So आप ये equation try भी कर सकते हैं. अगर किसी का आंसर गलत आ गया तो घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है. And all those who have marked it right, well done. Next question. Which of the following are combination reactions? So combination reactions क्या होता है? थोड़ा सा brief कर देती हूँ. Combination reactions are the reactions where 2 reactants combine to form the product. That is why it is known as combination reaction. So first equation is CaCO3 CO plus CO2. Next equation is MgO plus water giving you magnesium hydroxide. Next equation is aluminium and oxygen giving aluminium oxide. And fourth one is zinc plus ferrous sulfate to give zinc sulfate plus iron. Which one is a combination reaction? So we have options as 1 and 3. We have option as 3 and 4. We have option as 2 and 4. And we have option as 2 and 3. So here you may have 1 or 2 reactions as combination reaction. So I'm sure you have guessed the answer correct, and it is D, 2 and 3, because in 2 and 3 you can see magnesium oxide combining with water and aluminium combining with oxygen. So these two reactions are the combination reaction. Which of the following is an example of displacement reaction? So let us see the examples. We have first example, the second example, the third example, and the fourth example. Displacement. Kya hoga displacement? The term itself is telling to displace something. So in this reaction, one element or one compound displaces the another. तो कौन डिस्प्लेस कर रहा है, कौन अपनी जगह बनाना चाहता है, कौन अपनी बॉन्डिंग दिखाना चाहता है, कौन अपनी superiority दिखाना चाहता है. So here the answer has to be C, because in zinc hydrogen chloride reaction hui hai and zinc has formed zinc chloride and hydrogen gas has been evolved. Which of the following is an example of double displacement reaction? So abhi humne displacement dekha, ab double displacement ho rahi hai. So this is one reaction, second reaction, third reaction and fourth reaction. ध्यान से देखिए reactions को और देखिए और सोचिए कहाँ पर double displacement हो रही है. I just explained you about displacement. Now you are going to tell me which of them is an example of double displacement reaction. Ready? So the answer is B, because sodium sulfate and barium chloride, both of them are displacing each other's anion, and ultimately you are getting barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Next question. So there is an equation. The following reaction is used for the preparation of oxygen gas in the laboratory. Very common reaction, right? Which involves heat, which involves catalyst. So it's written on the arrow. Now, which of the following statements are correct about the reaction? So there can be one statement, there can be two statements also. It is a decomposition reaction and is endothermic in nature. So something is decomposing, breakage ho raha hai. It is a combination reaction. I just explained you about combination. It is a decomposition reaction and is accompanied by release of heat. It is a photochemical decomposition and exothermic in nature. So अगर आप ध्यान से reactions को देखेंगे, heat release नहीं हो रही है. We have to provide heat to the system, to the equation. So of course C option तो नहीं है, release of heat तो नहीं हो रहा. Photochemical decomposition हमने यहाँ पर कहीं ऐसी बात भी नहीं करी. Combination भी नहीं है, because nothing is being combined. You know, you are getting a substance which is breaking up into two components. So definitely it is a decomposition reaction and is endothermic in nature because it involves the acceptance of heat, right? So the answer is A. Next question is electrolysis of water. हम सब ने electrolysis पढ़ा है. Water breaks up into hydrogen and oxygen. So decomposition reaction. The ratio, the mole ratio of hydrogen and oxygen gas which are liberated during this electrolysis is hydrogen and oxygen, my dear children. So don't make an error. Is it 1:1, 2:1, 4:1, 1:2? ध्यान से हाइड्रोजन के कितने मोल्स, ऑक्सीजन के कितने मोल्स, उनका रेशियो चाहिए. And so the correct answer is 2:1 because you get 2H2 plus O2, right? इस क्वेश्चन को यूजुअली हम टीचर्स थोड़ा सा चेंज करके भी देते हैं एंड वी ऑफन गिव यू लाइक मोल रेशियो ऑफ ऑक्सीजन एंड हाइड्रोजन. सो इसीलिए आई लेड माय एम्फेसिस ऑन दिस स्टेटमेंट. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्लियर कि आपसे पूछा क्या क्या है, वेदर यू हैव बीन आस्क्ड फॉर द रेशियो ऑफ हाइड्रोजन एंड ऑक्सीजन और यू आर बीइंग आस्क्ड फॉर द रेशियो ऑफ ऑक्सीजन एंड हाइड्रोजन, राइट? ओके. So next question is formation of CuO, copper oxide, from copper and oxygen denotes reduction, oxidation, redox reaction, none of these. It's quite a simple. You're forming copper oxide. So you have Cu plus O2 giving copper oxide. Quite evident. The answer should be oxidation reaction. Why not reduction? Because reduction means addition of hydrogen, right? Or removal of oxygen. But वो तो नहीं हो रहा. Redox तब होती है जब हमारी reduction भी हो रही है और oxidation भी. वो भी नहीं हो रही है. So we have just having oxidation reaction in the system. Yeah. Okay. Next question. When zinc metal reacts with sodium hydroxide solution on heating, the gas evolved is what? So zinc metal को हमने किया है और gas evolve हो रही है. So that gas is going to turn lime water milky. Is it going to support combustion? Is it going to burn with a pop sound? Or is it going to have a pungent odor? So हमें ये देखना है कि हमारा reaction हो क्या रहा है. Zinc metal plus sodium hydroxide, which means basically Zn plus NaOH. So reaction जब होती है metal की base के साथ, तो क्या होता है? Salts form होता है and hydrogen gas is liberated. Now this hydrogen gas is something which burns with a pop-up sound, and that is why the correct answer to this is it burns with a pop sound. Next question lined up for you all is hydrogen gas. Kuch characteristics hydrogen gas ke, and you have to get the right one. Okay. So hydrogen gas, is it colorless? Is it odorless? It burns with a blue flame, or all options are correct. So सोचिए कि hydrogen gas इनमें से क्या-क्या हो सकता है, and what all options are possible. I'm sure everyone has got this answer correct, and this is D, right? Because all options are correct. It is colorless, it is odorless, and it burns with a blue flame. Next question lined up. Which of the following gases can be used for storage of fresh sample of an oil for a long time? Oil has to be stored properly, right? So which gas can be used for that? Carbon dioxide or oxygen, nitrogen or oxygen, carbon dioxide or helium, helium or nitrogen. And what should be the correct answer? The correct answer is D, because we somewhere need some inert gases like helium or nitrogen for our system, for our sample to stay fresh for a long period of time. Yeah? Okay.
Manisha ma'am,
Yes, sir.
sorry to disturb you. Actually, I think you should go a little bit slow.
Okay, sir. Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure. Okay, so the next question lined up is the shiny finish of wall after whitewash. सबके घर में whitewash हुई होगी, सबको पता है whitewash में कैसे होता है ना? So shiny finish of that wall is because of what? Whitewash करते हैं तो कैसे आती है वो shiny finish? Is it because of calcium oxide, calcium hydroxide, calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate? थोड़ा सा सोचेंगे, एक एक ऑप्शन को हम ले सकते हैं. Calcium oxide, calcium hydroxide, calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate. So some of you must be aware about this whitewash thing, and it is done with a white powder. This white powder is, in Hindi it's known as chuna, and scientifically we call it calcium carbonate. इस calcium carbonate को हम water में dissolve करते हैं, and we get a solution. This solution is left for some time so that जो heavy substance है, जो precipitate है, वो आपका settle हो जाए, and जो liquid part बचता है, उसको हम whitewash के लिए use करते हैं, right? So the correct answer is calcium hydroxide. Some of you might have felt it is calcium carbonate, so that is why I informed and I explained you the process. So it's basically calcium carbonate, but it is dissolved in water so that you get calcium hydroxide. And that liquid is used for the whitewash, right? Okay, so we move to the next question. Now this question is very interesting because as you know, CBSE has also asked us to discuss some practical based questions, some questions which inspire you people to work in the lab and to understand and to see the equations. Of course, Corona lockdown time chal raha hai, and I'm sure you are not able to access your laboratories. So that is why one question for you. Thoda sa hum is pe time lenge, and we will discuss this question. Okay. So 4 students, any 4 of your friends were asked to study a reaction between barium chloride and sodium sulfate. दो भारी भारी भरकम chemicals हमने ले लिए हैं. So barium chloride and sodium sulfate. And the 2 solutions were mixed together in a test tube, right? So दोनों का solution हमने mix कर दिया है. अब students को report करना है कि उनको answer क्या मिला है या उनको क्या मिलना चाहिए. So they should have obtained the result as the question is framed like this. So what do you think? What happens when barium chloride and sodium sulfate reacts together? लिख सकते हैं आप इस equation को अपने पास. Barium chloride is BaCl2 and sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. So आप थोड़ा सा लिख के इसको देखिए, मैं आपको options दे रही हूँ. The color of the mixture becomes brown. The solution forms separate layers. A colorless mixture is obtained, or a white substance settles at the bottom. This equation is given in NCERT also. So BaCl2 plus sodium sulfate, if you write down the reaction, it undergoes double decomposition reaction. Sorry, double displacement reaction. I'm so sorry. It undergoes double displacement reaction. What happens then? Sulfate moves from sodium to barium and chloride moves from barium to sodium. And you get barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. And with barium sulfate, you get a white precipitate. And it is this white substance which settles at the bottom. So the answer to this question is answer D, right? So I'm sure आपने balancing कर लिया होगा. I will quickly tell you the balancing also. BaCl2 plus Na2SO4. What will you get? BaSO4 plus 2NaCl. Because Na2 था और वहाँ Cl2 था. So your balancing happens to be 2NaCl. So that's the reaction. And barium sulfate के नीचे हम एक downward arrow लगाएंगे. This downward arrow represents that there is some precipitate being formed. अगर upward arrow होता है, that means some gas is liberated. So these are 2 types of arrows which we are normally using to demonstrate a precipitate or a liberated gas. Next question. Exposure of silver chloride to sunlight for a long duration turns gray due to the formation of silver by decomposition of silver chloride, sublimation of silver chloride, decomposition of chlorine gas from silver chloride, and oxidation of silver. So children, there is this process, silver chloride, AgCl. अभी आप लोग का तो थोड़ा डिजिटल जमाना हो गया है, so you are no longer taking out those printouts. But हम लोग जब थे तो हम लोग को negatives मिलते थे. Kodak का वो कैमरा हुआ करता था, and we used to take out pictures and we used to get those negatives. And I'm sure पुरानी फिल्मों में आप लोगों ने वो negatives देखे होंगे और उन negatives का printouts निकल के हम लोग को hard copy photographs की मिलती थी. So अब तो वो जमाना नहीं है, आपके कैमरास सुंदर सुंदर आपके मोबाइल फोन्स हैं, you can take out the photos and you are usually keeping them in soft copies. But उस समय पे ये होता था, and this process is also related somewhere to there. So AgCl को हम sunlight में जब expose करेंगे, so वो grey turn हो जाएगा. Why is this turning into grey? What is the chemistry behind it? Is it because of formation of silver, because of which, silver chloride is decomposing? Sublimation of silver chloride. What is sublimation? Now, sublimation is a process where a solid substance converts into gas directly, right? वो sublime हो जाता है ना? So, decomposition of chlorine gas from silver chloride. So, chlorine gas is basically breaking up and forming silver chloride. Or is it the oxidation of silver? So, silver undergoing some kind of oxidation. क्या हो सकता है? अगर आप reaction को analyze करेंगे, silver chloride AgCl on photolytic reaction, what is it going to give? So the answer has to be A, because the formation of silver is happening. अगर आप अब reaction को analyze करेंगे, so it's AgCl undergoing the decomposition to form Ag plus Cl2. Cl कभी भी single नहीं होता है because it is a dimolecular compound or a gas. So we write it as Cl2. So twice of AgCl will give me 2Ag plus Cl2. So it's this formation of silver which is happening because of the decomposition of silver chloride. When CO2 is passed through lime water. Now what is this lime water? Lime water, abhi हमने जो calcium hydroxide solution बोला, that is, lime water. So what happens when CO2 is passed through it? So when CO2 is passed through lime water, milkiness is formed. What is this milkiness due to? So if you write down a reaction, lime water is CaOH whole twice, calcium hydroxide plus CO2. So you'll get a compound which will be the result of this milkiness. So I hope you have got the reaction. So is it calcium carbonate, calcium hydroxide, calcium hydrogen carbonate, or none of these? So the answer has to be calcium carbonate, because मैंने आपको hint भी किया, calcium hydroxide plus CO2 will give you calcium carbonate. So that is how the reaction is happening. Next question lined up. Chemically rust is, rust सबको पता है, जंग बोलते हैं इसको हम हिंदी में. So chemically rust is, what is rust chemically? So I'm writing some names for you and you have to pick the correct one. Is it hydrated ferrous oxide, hydrated ferric oxide, or ferrous oxide? I think the options are very near to each other, so a lot of confusion in your minds. But the correct answer to this is hydrated ferric oxide, Fe2O3.XH2O. So this dot XH2O means the water of crystallization or the hydration property of the compound. So there are already some molecules of water which are associated with this solid substance, and because of which the compound becomes hydrated. थोड़ा सा हमारे जो options हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा variation हम लाते हैं. So multiple choice questions are done, and now we come to fill in the blanks, right? और junior classes की तरह आपको यहाँ options नहीं मिलेंगे. You just have to fill in with the exact correct word, right? So first is, magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling flame in air and changes to white substance. This white substance is called what? So magnesium ribbon, आपको पता है, there is this magnesium ribbon, and हम उसको थोड़ा सा white भी करते हैं, and जब हम उसको air के साथ burn करते हैं, air की presence में, it converts into some white powder, white substance. What is this white substance formed? Chemically also you can tell, or name, chemical name you can also give. So it's basically magnesium oxide, MgO. What is the chemistry behind? Magnesium ribbon, which is Mg, burns in air plus O2. So what is the reaction? Mg plus O2 gives me MgO. And if you do the balancing, it is 2Mg plus O2 giving you 2MgO. So I hope you all are mentioning the reactions also along with, because that's very important. And that is how we are going to understand the changes and the chemical equations involved, right? Okay, let us go ahead to the next question. Precipitation reactions. Okay, these reactions might have some kind of precipitation happening. So formation of a precipitate. And these reactions are type of what reactions? Sorry, answer already आ गया. It was double displacement. अगर मैं आपको answer का एक example दे सकूं, so I have just discussed a reaction with barium chloride and sodium sulfate. It was a double displacement reaction where sulfate was going to barium and chloride was coming to sodium. And so that white precipitate that you were getting as BaSO4 was the precipitation reaction. And I also told you that we make a downward arrow to make you understand the formation of precipitate, right? So precipitation reactions are the double displacement reactions, and they usually give you the precipitate forming. The substance undergoing oxidation in a redox reaction is called dash agent. This concept of oxidation and reduction is usually very troubling for students. you usually get confused with oxidation, reduction, oxidizing agent, reducing agent. So a very simple thing to understand oxidation and reduction is that oxidation, oxidation word has a word, oxy. So oxygen. So addition of oxygen is actually oxidation. And reduction is its twin brother with a different mindset and opposite behavior. Okay, twin hai wo uska. So oxidation, if it is addition of oxygen, reduction kya hoga? Removal of oxygen. And similarly, reduction is addition of hydrogen. So oxidation kya hoga? Removal of hydrogen, right? So that is how we can relate to it. And if a substance is undergoing oxidation, यानी उसके पास oxygen add हो रहे हैं, so what kind of reaction or what kind of reagent it will be? It will be a reducing agent. So यहाँ आप इसको और relate कर सकते हैं that oxidation हो रहा है तो reducing agent आएगा, and reduction हो रहा है so oxidizing agent आएगा. So that way is also you can keep some points in your mind so that you understand the concept and you are not confused. Okay. Okay, so the next statement, थोड़ा सा दिमाग लगाना है इसमें. It is really a difficult kind of statement, but I'm sure you are all going to answer this. In a displacement reaction, so I've told you about displacement reaction, when one element or compound displaces the another. A dash reactive element displaces dash reactive element present in a compound. So who is going to displace who? Okay, so yeah, हमें answer करना है. So what can be the answer? I hope chat box पे answers सारे के सारे आने शुरू हो गए हैं. So कौन किसको displace करेगा? Why is this displacement happening? See, in reactions, displacement is all about reactivity, and you can see it in the statement also. So कुछ reactivity differences की वजह से एक element दूसरे को displace करेगा. क्यों करेगा? Because a more reactive element displaces a less reactive element. जो भी ज्यादा powerful होगा वो कम powerful को displace कर देगा. It's as simple as that, right? So in a displacement reaction, a more reactive element displaces a less reactive element present in a compound. Yeah. Next statement. Respiration taking place in cells of all living beings is an example of dash reaction. Now, respiration, I know, it's in science, it is in life processes. But of course, whatever is happening around us is involving some kind of reaction, right from cooking happening in your houses to your body organs and to the respiration and photosynthesis. Everybody is involved in this magic of reactions. So respiration में क्या हो रहा है? What kind of example is it? What kind of reaction is this? So can you answer this question? So respiration is basically an oxidation reaction, right? Right? Because the oxygen is being involved in the reaction. So respiration, of course, is an example of an oxidation reaction. Another question. Dash is the slow oxidation of certain oils or fats present in food materials, resulting in foul smell. So all of you must have eaten chips and all. And कई बार हम chips का पैकेट आधा खाते हैं, आधा छोड़ देते हैं. और उसके बाद कुछ दिनों के बाद अगर हम उसको ओपन करते हैं तो उसमें एक अजीब सी स्मेल आ रही होती है. या आपके चिप्स बहुत सॉफ्ट हो गए होते हैं. Why is it so? Because the oil and fat present in these food materials underwent oxidation. यानी atmospheric oxygen के साथ reaction हो गई. This process, when it is happening with food materials, what is this process known as? And the answer is rancidity. This rancidity is also happening जब आप अपने oil को, मम्मियाँ होती है ना, कई बार मम्मियाँ लोग जो हैं वो एक बार oil use किया, फिर again the same oil in the kadai is being used for frying purpose, and then again paratha बनाने के लिए the same oil is being used. So slowly and gradually this oil or fat is undergoing oxidation, and this process is basically known as rancidity. And ultimately the oil or fat develops a foul smell. So you can make out that your oil or fat has been rancid. Reactions in which heat is given out along with the products are called dash reactions. एक hint दूंगी, starting में questions हमने इसी के opposite reaction से शुरू किया था. So in this reaction heat is given out. So जब हम heat given out करते हैं, so reactions को हम क्या बोलते हैं? So the answer should be exothermic. Now again there is a hint for all of you to remember this. Endo is in, exo exit. ना मूवी थिएटर्स में सब लोग गए हैं, एंटर गेट होता है, एग्जिट गेट होता है, राइट? सो एंडो एंटर, exo exit. So when heat is given to the reaction, it is endothermic. When the heat is given out, it is exothermic. So in, out, enter, exit, endo, exo. So आप इस तरीके से उसको याद रख सकते हैं, अब कभी भी एरर नहीं होगा. Okay, this is one of my favorite categories of question, and believe me, majority of the students lose their marks in assertion reasoning based questions because somewhere हम एक statement पढ़ते हैं, हम एक thought बनाते हैं, and फिर हम A, B, C करके randomly click कर देते हैं. But I will also tell you how to go about with the assertion and reasoning questions, right? So I will be giving you two statements. So you have one assertion and a reason, right? Assertion is a positive statement, a statement about a particular process. And reason is actually facilitating, or reason is actually explaining that statement. So my assertion is quicklime reacts with water to form slaked lime. Now what is quicklime? मैंने यहाँ जान पूछ के molecular formula नहीं डाला because I want you to remember the names as well, right? So quicklime is basically CaO, calcium oxide, reacts with water. CaO plus water will give me what? CaOH whole twice, calcium hydroxide, which is your slaked lime, the solution of which you are using for the whitewashing, right? It is a slow chemical reaction. So the reason is slow chemical reaction. अब हमें ये देखना है कि हमारा assertion correct है, हमारा reason correct है, या दोनों ही correct है. So I'm giving you all four options. So I have both assertion and reason correct. Reason is correct explanation of assertion. तो पहले आप ये देखिए assertion correct है या नहीं है, right? What is the strategy? You have to first check whether your assertion is correct or not. Then you have to check whether your reason is correct or not. Once you have the answer, whether the assertion is correct or the reason is correct, उसके बाद आप A और B option पे जाओ, that whether your reason is able to explain the assertion or not. This way, you are basically going for the problem solving approach. And ultimately, आप अपने options को reduce कर रहे हैं, shortlist कर रहे हैं. This strategy is like this, right? So assertion मेरा correct है, but reason, do you think my reason is also correct? Is it a slow chemical reaction? I don't think it's a slow chemical reaction. It's really a fast reaction. And slow chemical reaction में हम rusting का example ले सकते हैं, corrosion का ले सकते हैं. So ultimately, assertion is correct, absolutely, but reason is incorrect because it is not a slow chemical reaction. So you are going to mark C. तो आपने क्या strategy अपनाई? You have actually looked up your assertion statement. You have looked up at your reason statement, and then you have compared the two and ultimately got your correct option, right? Okay. Second assertion. I'm sorry, answer इसमें already आ चुका है. So कोई बात नहीं, हम इसे discuss करेंगे. Chemical combination always takes place between two elements. So you know chemical reaction is happening, and combination का मतलब है two elements या two compounds के बीच में reaction होगी. A single substance is formed in a combination reaction. So वो कह रहा है a single substance is formed in a combination, like only one compound is formed. So you have options. अब फिर से वही strategy लगाएंगे, assertion and reason. Chemical combination always takes place between two elements? No. There can be more than two elements, and there can be compounds also. So somewhere my assertion is not correct, but my reason is correct. Because in combination reaction, I do get one single product, right? So the correct answer is D. So assertion is incorrect, but reason is correct. So the answer is the correct option. Next assertion and reasoning we have is, I'm sorry, somehow the animation thing is not working, so आपको सारे answers दिख रहे हैं, but never mind. We are going to discuss this content, and I'm sure आपकी clarity concepts की इसमें आ जाएगी. Decoration pieces made of silver lose their shine after some time, right? So we have seen silver objects in air, और आप लोग malls वगैरह जाते हैं, आप कहीं भी बाहर जाते हैं तो कुछ भी silver का object होता है तो वो थोड़ा सा fade होने लग जाता है. Is this due to the presence of traces of sulfur dioxide present in air? So reason है कि air में बहुत सारा sulfur dioxide होता है जिसकी वजह से ऐसा होता है. ठीक है. Now of course assertion is correct, but reason is incorrect. Why reason is incorrect? Because sulfur dioxide is not actually present in the air. It is hydrogen sulfide which is present in the air, H2S. So that H2S की वजह से sulfur substance ही है, but not because of the traces of sulfur dioxide it's happening. And of course, you must have heard about acid rain and all as well. So there are a lot of substances present in the atmosphere because of which there is a lot of oxidation and a lot of reactions happening in the atmosphere, right? Okay. Next question. A piece of sodium metal catches fire when thrown in water. So you have sodium metal, जिसको आपने पानी में फेंका और एकदम से आग लग गई. So I'm sure आपके teachers ने भी बताया होगा that sodium metal is really dangerous to work with, and we usually do not give students to handle sodium metal. हम खुद ही थोड़ा सा handle करके उनको देते हैं. And the reason is sodium is a very reactive metal. So the assertion and reason is correct. Both of them are correct. Because sodium is reactive, correct. A piece of sodium metal catches fire when thrown in water, that is also correct. But the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Because uski reactivity की वजह से fire नहीं हो रहा है. It's because of the reaction happening between sodium and water, and ultimately that fire is being formed, right? So that is why the option is B. Assertion reason-based question next. So quicklime reacts with water. I think repetition हो गया है. So quicklime reacts with water. ये हमने कर लिया है. So next question. In a redox reaction, electron releasing species acts as an oxidizing agent. अभी हमने इस चीज को discuss किया है, right? And in a redox reaction, oxidation and reduction reactions proceed side by side. So there is an assertion. There is a reason. एक बार फिर से assertion को देखते हैं क्योंकि थोड़ी सी complicated statement है. So redox reaction, electron releasing species. Electron releasing मतलब electron donating species. Those who are losing electrons. Okay. इसको याद करने के लिए मैं आपको एक और mnemonics देती हूँ, which is known as Leo. Leo for a zodiac sign. Leo for the lion. So we also do say it as Leo does gear. कैसा sound करता है? शेर कैसे घुर्राता है ना, so उसको हम बोलते हैं गैर, right? So Leo is loss of electron oxidation, LEO, loss of electron oxidation. Gain of electron is reduction. So Leo does gear, right? इसका एक और है जिसको हम बोलते हैं oil in rig, right? Rig is a place where oil can be deposited, oil can be found out. So oil oxidation is loss and rig is रिडक्शन इज गेन. तो आप दोनों में से जो भी चीज आपको अच्छी लगे, समझ आए, आंसरेबल लगे तो आप उसको एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए. सो इलेक्ट्रॉन रिलीजिंग मतलब इलेक्ट्रॉन लूजिंग. सो दैट मीन्स अंडरगोइंग ऑक्सीडेशन, राइट? सो ऑक्सीडेशन है तो वो रिड्यूसिंग एजेंट होगा नहीं ना. ऑक्सीडेशन है तो वो ऑक्सीडेशन अगर कर रहा है तो वो रिड्यूसिंग एजेंट होगा, सॉरी ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट नहीं होगा. सो असर्शन इज इनकरेक्ट बट रीजन इज करेक्ट बिकॉज रिडॉक्स रिएक्शन, रेड ऑक्स. So redox reaction is a reaction where reduction and oxidation is happening simultaneously. दोनों साथ साथ चलते हैं. So एक का loss of electron होता है, दूसरे का gain of electron होता है. एक का addition of hydrogen होगा तो दूसरे का loss of hydrogen होगा. So both of the things are working simultaneously. So reason is correct, but assertion is wrong. So that is why the correct answer is D. Next assertion reason you have is copper can displace silver from aqueous silver nitrate solution. Okay, so silver is placed above copper in the reactivity series is the reason. Okay, so हमारे पास एक statement है that copper can displace silver. अभी हमने एक बात कही that in displacement reaction more reactive element will displace the less reactive. More powerful one will displace the less powerful one. तो ज्यादा ताकतवर जो है वो उसको हटा देगा. ठीक है. So copper can displace silver from aqueous silver nitrate solution, which is correct. क्योंकि जब आप इलेक्ट्रोकेमिकल सीरीज देखते हैं या आप रिएक्टिविटी सीरीज अभी मेटल्स एंड नॉन मेटल्स में भी आप पढ़ेंगे, सो वहां पर कॉपर इज एबल टू डिस्प्लेस सिल्वर, सो दैट इज करेक्ट. But silver is placed above copper in the reactivity series. That is wrong, क्योंकि more reactive is going to displace the less reactive. So अगर copper displace कर रहा है silver को, that means copper is more reactive and copper is placed above silver. So I hope you have understood the reason, and so assertion is correct, but reason is incorrect. So that is how we mark the things, right? Yeah, so finally my animation is back on track. Somehow for assertion reasoning it wasn't working. So next category that we are going to discuss is true and false. बहुत easy लगता है ये सुनने में, but teachers have become pretty smarter than you students, right? So वो especially आपको ऐसी student statements ढूंढ के निकालते हैं कि बच्चे confuse हो जाए, right? So I will again tell you a strategy to go about the concept, right? So rusting is a double decomposition reaction. So हमने समझा that रस्टिंग हो रही है. रस्टिंग क्यों हो रही है? बिकॉज रस्ट इज फॉर्म्ड. व्हाट इज रस्ट? Fe2O3.XH2. अभी हमने केमिकल रस्ट करके क्वेश्चन करा था. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? यू हैव अ आयरन सरफेस. देयर इज एटमॉस्फेरिक ऑक्सीजन, देयर इज मॉइस्चर. All of them are attacking this piece of iron, and ultimately there is this formation of brown compound, brown substance which is known as rust. Do you think it is a double decomposition reaction? Because double decomposition reaction का मतलब क्या हुआ कि decomposition हो रहा है और two way हो रहा है, और अगर double displacement भी हम लेंगे तो भी it is not possible. So the correct answer is false, because rusting is a redox reaction. There is some kind of reduction and some kind of oxidation happening in the reaction, happening in the process, and that is why rusting is a redox reaction. Next statement that I have is the reaction between nitrogen and hydrogen, N2 and H2. कई बार students ना सिर्फ N लिखते हैं और हाइड्रोजन के लिए हाइड्रोजन H2 लिखते हैं. Please don't do that. Nitrogen, hydrogen, these are all gases, so they have to be N2H2, okay, to form ammonia. Now what is ammonia? Ammonia is NH3. So sometimes when such statements are given to you, you people get confused because आपको या तो structure नहीं पता होता, आपको formula नहीं पता होता, या you are not able to understand what is the correct molecular equation. So N2 plus H2 is giving you NH3. Balancing जल्दी से करके देखेंगे. N2 plus H2 giving you NH3. जब आप balancing करेंगे तो क्या होगा? 3H2 आपको करना पड़ेगा and twice of NH3 आपको करना पड़ेगा. So N2 plus 3H2 gives you 2NH3. This is a reaction. Is it an example of combination reaction? Is it a kind of combination reaction? So the answer is yes, it is, because N2 and H2, both of them are combining to form one product, which is ammonia. So I hope you have got the equation. Next statement that we have is the number of atoms of each element is conserved in any chemical reaction. जब आप एक chemical reaction देखते हैं, why are you balancing? Or because you are trying to, see the number of atoms. So do you think that these number of atoms are conserved? What do I mean by conservation of number of atoms? इसका मतलब ये है कि left hand side पे अगर 4 atoms हैं, तो right hand side पर भी 4 atoms होंगे. Just like I had N2 plus 3H2 giving me 2NH3. आप total number of nitrogen atoms calculate कीजिए, आप total number of hydrogen calculate कीजिए. क्या दोनों side पे number of atoms are equal? Do you think the number of atoms of each element is conserved? So the answer is true. And that is why we do balancing. We do balancing to fulfill this conservation of number of atoms so that we can say our equation is balanced. A complete chemical equation represents the reactants and products symbolically. इसका आंसर जल्दी से चैट बॉक्स पे लिख के दे दो कि एक केमिकल इक्वेशन है, क्या वो रिप्रेजेंट करती है all the reactants and products symbolically? Is it true or false? हो सकता है इसका आंसर आपको घबराहट पैदा कर दे, because it is a false statement. Now some of you must be wondering why, ma'am? Because reactants और products ही तो देता है, और क्या देता है? But along with reactants and products, dear children, it also give you phase of these reactants and products. Phase मतलब ब्रैकेट में आपको small s, l, g, AQ मिलता है, that is the phase. So एक complete अगर chemical equation आपको लिखनी है, so you should be including all these phases as well, and then only the equation will be considered a complete chemical equation. So next time if you write N2 plus H2 giving 2NH3, balance it, and then in bracket also write down G, because nitrogen, hydrogen and ammonia all are in gaseous phase. Next statement, a combination reaction can be a redox reaction. So क्या एक combination reaction redox reaction भी हो सकती है? We have to find out. And so the correct answer is true. Yes, हो सकती है. और इसका बहुत ही अच्छा आपका example है H2 plus O2 giving you water. So a combination reaction definitely undergoes sometimes as a redox reaction. So it can form a redox reaction, no doubt about it. Yeah. One word answer questions. As children, as my students, मेरे बच्चों को 1 mark ये 1 word answer questions बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं, और आई एम श्योर आप लोगों को बहुत अच्छे लगते होंगे, बट इसमें एरर होने के चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं, बिकॉज अगर आपने वो करेक्ट वर्ड यूज नहीं किया तो आपका आंसर won't be accepted. And of course in class 10 when you are appearing for board exams, we are always looking for that keyword. वो एक keyword हमें चाहिए कि ये word होना चाहिए, ये word हमें मिल जाना चाहिए, right? So the first point is identify the type of reaction involved in the process of the digestion of food in the body. मैंने अभी आपसे बोला everywhere that you see chemistry is there. When I say this statement, people tell me आप अपने subject के लिए bias होते हो, but that's true. आप अपने आसपास कहीं भी देख लो, हर जगह आपको chemistry दिखेगी. So आपकी body के digestion process में which type of reaction do we have? Okay, so it is decomposition reaction, because your food particles are undergoing some kind of breakage and it is leading to a decomposition reaction. Next question, name the scientific term for an unbalanced chemical equation. मैं आपको सिर्फ एक equation दे रही हूँ, N2 plus H2 gives me NH3. It's not balanced. What is the scientific term for this kind of equation? A little tricky question, but it is known as a skeleton equation. Skeleton, हड्डियों का ढांचा होता है ना, ऐसी हमारी केमिस्ट्री में इक्वेशंस का ढांचा होता है. So if it is not balanced, it is nothing but a skeleton equation for us, which we are supposed to balance. Next question that we have is, name the phenomenon due to which the taste and smell of oily food changes when kept for a long time in open. So phenomenon है, अभी पीछे हमने ये चीज डिस्कस की थी, but when it comes to the phenomenon, students usually do not get this term in mind, right? So the question is here and the answer is rancidity. So you know the chemistry behind it, that why oil and fat, they develop that foul smell and their taste changes, and it is all because of the rancidity. Name the insoluble metal compound formed after the reaction. So अगर reaction में कुछ insoluble compound form हो रहा है, उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? इस टाइप की reaction का नाम हमें पता है, we have done it already, but what is this compound known as? So the compound is known to be a precipitate, and the reaction is a precipitation reaction. So these terms usually do not come to your mind, but then if you actually practice, तो वो terms आपके दिमाग में आ जाएंगे. Okay, this is an interesting question because problem solving based question है. Hints आपको दे रखी हैं. ये X, Y, Z type questions are pretty obvious questions in exams. So there is a shining brown colored compound which on heating becomes black in color. मैंने आप लोगों के लिए ऐसा कुछ रखा है, अगर आप मेरी बॉटल देख सकते हैं. So ये कुछ shining brown compound मेरे पास है और इसके कुछ areas black भी हो गए, right? So a shining brown compound we have, जिसको हमने जब air पे heat किया तो वो black in color हो गया. You have to tell me what is this element X, and you also have to tell me what is the black compound formed. Of course इसके दो answers हैं, but दोनों ही answers one word form में हैं, so we can consider this question here. And so the X is copper. मैंने अभी आपको bottle भी दिखाई, that was a copper bottle which was shining brown in color, bronze color भी हम उसको बोल देते हैं कभी-कभी. And the compound जो आप heat कर रहे हैं, heat in air means O2. So every time when you are told that you have heated this in air, it is air, oxygen, O2. So Cu plus O2 forms CuO. So this black compound that you have is copper oxide, which is also known as cupric oxide. Okay. So we are coming to the sentence questions now, right? So name the product formed on strongly heating. Just last few questions. I know some of you are looking at your watches and clocks ki ma'am kab khatam karengi, but some interesting questions ahead. So name the product formed on strongly heating ferrous sulfate crystals. So ferrous sulfate is FeSO4. जब आप इसको strongly heat करेंगे तो क्या होगा? FeSO4 crystals are basically having some kind of water. FeSO4 crystals are somewhere in aqua blue or that greenish kind of color, turquoise blue भी जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं, उस टाइप का ये कंपाउंड होता है. और जब आप इसे हीट करते हैं, so basically you get anhydrous ferrous sulfate. So you get pure, normal ferrous sulfate without those water of crystallization, right? And if you further heat this ferrous sulfate, then you get ferric oxide, Fe2O3, sulfur dioxide, and sulfur trioxide. So you can try balancing the equation. So that is why I have included each of the conversions here. Basically, ferrous sulfate is having water of crystallization. जब आप first time उसको heat करते हैं, it loses this water of crystallization and converts into anhydrous ferrous sulfate. And this anhydrous ferrous sulfate gives you ferric oxide, Fe2O3, sulfur dioxide, SO2, and sulfur trioxide, SO3. Why have I mentioned all this? Because if you look at the question, nowhere it's mentioned hydrous or anhydrous. So if in exam it's clearly written anhydrous ferrous sulfate, please write ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide, and sulfur trioxide. But अगर उन्होंने सिर्फ ferrous sulfate लिखा है, I would really suggest you people to write down that first it undergoes the conversion to anhydrous form and then it gives you the rest of the products, right? Okay. Next question that I have is, why do gold and platinum not corrode in moist air? गोल्ड एंड प्लैटिनम की हम ज्वेलरी पहनते हैं और सिल्वर भी हम पहनते हैं तो कुछ दिनों बाद काली हो जाती है. आपकी मम्मियाँ लोग पाजेब पहनते होंगे, ज्वेलरी उनके पास होगी सिल्वर की, विच यूजुअली रिएक्ट्स, तो वो कुछ दिनों बाद ब्लैक हो जाती है. आर्टिफिशियल गोल्ड ज्वेलरी होती है वो भी थोड़ी सी ब्लैक हो जाती है, बट गोल्ड एंड प्लैटिनम इट स्टेज लाइक दैट, थोड़ा सा पुराना भी हो जाता है बट इट स्टेज लाइक दैट. सो व्हाई इज इट सो, राइट? So why is it not undergoing any kind of reaction? The answer to this is that gold, platinum, they do not react with water and air. They do not undergo reaction. They are somewhere known as inert material to the atmospheric water and air. And इसीलिए हम usually jewelry gold और platinum की पहनना पसंद करते हैं, चाहते हैं, and they are really non-reactive to all of these atmospheric things. So that is why gold and platinum के prices भी बहुत high हैं और अभी भी बहुत महंगा हो गया है gold and platinum. Another reaction, another equation, another question. Why is photosynthesis considered as an endothermic reaction? Photosynthesis, सबको पता है क्या होता है photosynthesis में? Green plants prepare their own food through this process which is known as photosynthesis, right? Why is it considered as an endothermic reaction? So it is considered as an endothermic reaction because the green leaf plants are absorbing energy in the form of sunlight. And this absorption of sunlight involves the absorption of heat, in. So in हो रहा है, heat in हो रही है, energy in हो रही है, so endothermic, and that is why photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. A silver article generally turns black when kept open for a few days. अभी मैंने एक example भी आपके साथ लिया था. Name the black substance formed and give its chemical formula. So normally कहने में तो हम बोलते हैं कि सिल्वर जो है वो काला पड़ गया ना. मम्मी के पास कुछ नुस्खे भी होते हैं, हल्दी के पानी में डाल दो, उसको साफ कर दो, डिटर्जेंट से साफ कर दो, चमक जाएगा. But basically, why is it turning black when it is open? Because I think there is something there in the atmosphere. After all of this discussion, I'm sure you understand atmospheric moisture and oxygen. So there is all this air and oxygen which is reacting with this silver. So ये silver के साथ react करके बनाएगा क्या? Ag reacting with air, O2 क्या बनाएगा? This is definitely going to form silver oxide, but basically वो black इसलिए होता है क्योंकि वो silver sulfide form करता है. If you remember, मैंने आपको बताया था that we have a lot of traces of sulfur in our atmosphere. So जो black majorly form होता है वो silver sulfide की वजह से form होता है. सिर्फ oxygen is not sufficient to make the silver particle turn black, right? So the black substance is basically silver sulfide, and उसका formula क्या होगा? Ag2S, because silver plus S will give you Ag2S, right? Okay. So why do you apply paint on iron articles? So आपके घरों में grills होंगी, railings होंगी, window panes होंगे. Why are you applying paint on these iron articles? I think all of us know this answer. That's because the iron article might get rusted. उस पे जंग लग जाएगा. तो paint क्या करता है? Paint is basically coating these iron particles or iron articles. Iron articles पे iron particles हैं, atoms हैं, उनके ऊपर एक protective covering बना रहा है so that the atmosphere is not going to attack on the iron surface and ultimately is protecting the surface against the rusting. And so that's all from my side, sir. I hope my children have really enjoyed the class. And I can see a lot of you have actually participated in the answers and all. I'm extremely sorry for all that animation thing that went wrong, but definitely that will be taken care of. Yes, sir.
कोई इश्यू नहीं है मैम. As you were discussing continuously, the main thing is that the student must know how the answer is correct. So if you are showing that this in your screen, then no issue. I told them कि अगर स्क्रीन पर आंसर पहले आ जा रहा है, that is not a big task. क्योंकि the important thing is that कि आप ये समझें कि why this answer is correct.
Correct.
This is the important. आंसर तो बच्चा देख लेता है. लाइक अगर आप उसको एक गाइड दे दीजिए, जो गाइड्स आती हैं, तो बच्चा उसमें भी देखता है. द क्वेश्चन इज गिवन, 4 ऑप्शंस आर गिवन एंड वो नीचे आंसर भी दिया हुआ है. बट व्हाई दिस आंसर इज करेक्ट, दैट एक्सप्लेनेशन शुड बी नो. इसलिए मैंने
I'm very glad I can.
इसलिए इस तरीके के सेशंस ऑर्गेनाइज किए जा रहे हैं सो दैट स्टूडेंट मस्ट नो कि व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑप्शन इज करेक्ट. वो क्यों करेक्ट है, वही ऑप्शन क्यों करेक्ट है, बाकी क्यों करेक्ट नहीं है. इसलिए इस तरीके के ऑप्शंस हम लेकर के यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच मैम. बच्चों ने बहुत एंजॉय किया लगातार. हाँ प्लीज, आप कुछ कह रहे हैं.
नहीं, I feel it is very important also because science is all about logical reasoning. So somewhere हम बुक्स दिखा देते हैं और हम बोलते हैं ये हुआ है, बट कहीं ना छोटी छोटी चीजें दिमाग में रह जाती हैं कि ये क्यों हुआ है. So some of my students are also here attending my session, my own school students. So they are quite aware of this thing that मैं कभी भी उनको rote learning के लिए नहीं बोलती. So वो आपको करना भी नहीं चाहिए. You actually have to find out some good valid reasons to answer and reason. So I'm very, very glad I'm getting a lot of messages on the chat, and that's really boosting me. So looking forward to meet you all again very soon.
Okay, yes, so student, stay back. Just I'm sharing the feedback link, and in feedback link there are 10 questions including multiple choice and true false. Some questions are from assertion also. There is a link to join WhatsApp group of 1 Mark Solution. Please join, because so that we can disseminate information about the upcoming webinars. Manisha ma'am, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and joining us. और बच्चों के लिए बहुत अच्छा ये सेशन है. और जैसा आपने एक बात की ना कि केमिस्ट्री इज ऑल अबाउट नियर बाय अस. सो डेफिनेटली कोई भी जो भी सब्जेक्ट है वो सब्जेक्ट हमारे आसपास ही है. द थिंग इज दैट कि हम उसको उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देख रहे हैं कि नहीं देख रहे हैं. सारी चीज़ें जो भी सब्जेक्ट की जो भी थ्योरीज बनाई हैं, जिन्होंने भी थ्योरीज दी हैं, डेफिनेटली उन्होंने भी अपने आसपास ही देख करके उन चीज़ों को ऑब्जर्व किया और उससे एक थ्योरी बनाई. सो वो चीज़ें हमारे
Yes.
आसपास जो है घटित हो रही हैं, चीज़ें हैपनिंग हो रही हैं, बट हम उनको कितना उस नज़रिए से देख पाते हैं, दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। सो थैंक
आज
यू स्टूडेंट, थैंक
हाँ,
यू। जी जी
आज आई
जी
एम
जी।
श्योर ये बच्चे घर जाके अपनी मम्मी को बोलेंगे कि मम्मी आपने जो ऑयल यूज किया है वो रैंसिड हो गया है, वो खराब हो गया है. सो आई थिंक दैट विल बी अ बेटर पार्ट एंड मम्मी will also get to know a scientific term. So that is what we are all about, right? So thank you
जी।
so much, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me on this
So
platform and giving me
dear students, feedback link is there in your chat live chat box. जरूर भरें फीडबैक लिंक, और एक सर्टिफिकेट प्यारा सा आपको मिलेगा, और उसके साथ में स्कोर भी होगा उस पर कि कितने % स्कोर आपने किया है। और बहुत जल्द हम लोग दूसरा सेशन भी लेकर के आएंगे, ना केवल साइंस के लिए बल्कि सोशल साइंस का भी, मैथमेटिक्स का भी, और हिंदी इंग्लिश का भी सेशन यहाँ पर हम 1 मार्क्स के लिए लेकर के आएंगे। सो जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ। सभी बच्चे, सभी को नहीं, एक बड़ा सा मैसेज से लिंक नहीं मिलेंगे, लिंक ऑलरेडी आई शेयर्ड। किसी बच्चे ने पूछा है लिंक कहाँ है, तो वो इट वाज जस्ट एन इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट वी आई विल शेयर लिंक। सो लिंक आई हैव शेयर्ड इन लाइव चैट बॉक्स अगेन, सो यू जस्ट क्लिक ऑन द लिंक, यू विल बी गेटिंग। और आप हमारा ग्रुप जरूर ज्वाइन करें, और आप अगर ग्रुप ज्वाइन करते हैं तो डेफिनेटली आपको ग्रुप ज्वाइन करने से भी वो लिंक मिल सकता है। मैं अब चूँकि सेशन हमारा ओवर हो चुका है, so I can put group link also in the live chat box. So if you are not able to join it by feedback, you can join it by here. So आप बच्चे अगर वहाँ से नहीं ज्वाइन कर पा रहे हैं तो आप इससे ज्वाइन। मेरा नाम डॉक्टर असद है, आई एम डॉक्टर असद अहमद, पीजीटी इकोनॉमिक्स हूँ बेसिकली मैं, एंड आई एम बेस्ड फ्रॉम लखनऊ KVIIM. सो होप टू सी यू अगेन। ओके, थैंक यू सो मच मैम। आपको अभी एक मेल मिलेगा हमारी तरफ से, एक छोटा सा टोकन ऑफ लव है इस चैनल के साथ, आपने जो
thank you
समय
so
व्यतीत
much.
किया है। ओके, थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much. Thank
जिन बच्चों को
thank you.
फीडबैक
Bye,
लिंक ना
children.
मिले वो बच्चे व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप ज्वाइन करके मुझे एक मैसेज कर देंगे एडमिन को, सो यू विल गेट द फीडबैक लिंक।